I've been experimenting with, trying different vegan or plant proteins for the last probably year and a half now. So when I got the okay to really put the pedal to the metal and come out with one of these, it was exciting for me, and also just to see all the different variations of the sources you can use, and mixability, grittiness, the texture issues, how to combat those things, and try to get something that kind of like ISOFIT for us, which is, lead or industry leading in taste, do something that can rival that on the vegan or plant side.
Welcome to Price Plow.
Welcome to Price Plow. This is Mike. We have Ben on the right, and in the middle, it is the return of Max Fairchild from Nutrex Research. Max, it's been over a year since we've had you on the channel. How are things going for you?
Good, man. Thanks for asking.
Yeah, and so you, the story with you is that you are basically I forget the exact title, but it's the Chief Science Officer, Chief Innovation Officer at Nutrex.
Yeah.
And you spend a lot of time in Dallas by the manufacturer, I believe, but once a week, or no, 1 week per month, you get over to the Nutrex facility and you help out the guys back home as well. Is that still true?
Correct, yeah.
Okay, so it sounds like you've been working on a lot of stuff, and I want to, today is Thursday, May 16th. This video is going to go live on Friday, May 17th, and so it sounds like you've been working on a whole lot, and Nutrex has been teasing a natural line, and we don't know anything outside of that. So are you willing to tell us what's going on over there?
Yeah, I think we can do that. Paul, do we have any little hints here and there on some of the stuff coming out? I don't think it would be a bad thing. Yeah, we can go into some hints on some of the other stuff. And
I thought there was one product in specific that was going to get announced, and then you could talk about.
Yeah, we start with the plant protein today.
All right, so it's a plant protein. So we've seen a few different brands come out with natural lines and everything. So right off the bat, what are you doing a little bit differently at Nutrex? And can you give us a little bit of information about what it is and when it's going to be out there on the market?
The when should be in the next few weeks. The what is pretty easy. It's obviously a very saturated category, right? And you've got your companies that have a foothold in the naturally whole food, the things that are still Whole Foods, Sprouts. These guys have been dominant on e-commerce for a long time. And it's separate from the sports nutrition side, right. So there's a lot of sports nutrition companies that are moving to get over there. The biggest thing, and like I mentioned before, is a lot of these plant proteins or vegan proteins, their taste and mixability have been a major issue. Mm-hmm. So before, we had the idea of wanting to do some natural, quote unquote, no artificial sweeteners, no artificial flavoring for a while on multiple products, and I've been working on these for probably the last 18 months on some products. Things have gotten a lot better with flavor and sweetener during that time. For the protein, and it's like I said, for me too. I know we had talked about it, but going back to something we mentioned last year, the last time we talked, mm-hmm. having ulcerative colitis, it's something near and dear to me. If anything I can do to reduce inflammation, and we can get into that whole argument about facts on is this research showing this is inflammatory or not. I know for myself, from different diets, trying different things, if I can reduce the amount of artificial sweeteners for myself, it helps a lot. And if I can reduce dairy, it helps. So for me, I've been experimenting with trying different vegan or plant proteins for the last probably year and a half now. So when I got the okay to really put the pedal to the metal and come out with one of these, it was exciting for me, and also just to see all the different variations of the sources you can use, and mixability, grittiness, the texture issues, how to combat those things, and try to get something that kind of like ISOFIT for us, which is lead or industry leading in taste, do something that can rival that on the vegan or plant side.
Yeah. Do you think you could talk about like this story with the natural stuff, like how this kind of, was there like a moment where you guys realized like, oh, we need to do something natural? Was there any background to the whole thing?
Really, it's just seeing entry points for us to get into that we're not. It's like it's better to have a piece of start off with a small piece of something than just not to get into it at all. And in my opinion, it's always better to the faster you can do that, the better. Yeah. I think a lot of times our industry, I've worked for multiple companies in the past, and it's always, if you're not first, you're last. So it's better to and for me, I was like, one of the things we could really improve on is flavor and texture. So that was my goal. And then, to be honest, I told the sales guys, if I can't give you something that's unique in that regard, from flavors to mixability, I won't even bother you with it. So I think we have something now. 3 flavors we'll be launching with. I think we have something that's definitely unique on the mixability and the taste.
Cool. Yeah, I'm gonna be doing those all 3 this weekend, so I'm super excited now. So I've dealt with plant proteins. I had a run-in with the plant protein with Mike in Texas when I was out there, and I've spit out a lot of plant proteins. You know,
I hope we're not going to be one of those. I think you'll be.
I don't think you are. I mean, I've been through hell. I've been part of flavoring plant proteins before at other companies, so I've been through the deep dark areas of plant proteins. So I'm excited.
Yeah, like I had mentioned, we had some. You know, I'm not going to name names. I'm not going to throw people on the bus or get a whole lawsuits or anything coming. But I've had some tested, and a lot of them that were supposed to be, you know, artificial sweeteners had sucralose. Some had Ace K. Some had both.
Really?
So, you know, it's definitely spiking is out there. Just like, you know, I guess we had amino spiking on the whey side. Now there's definitely, you know, sweet artificial sweetener spiking on the quote unquote natural sector.
Sucralose spiking. Wow. So Max, it sounds like this was a semi-selfish project that you kind of had been pushing for.
Absolutely.
And then you got the go ahead. Once you began tinkering with stuff, like, are you able to give us some general stuff you learned, like pea protein does this, or, you know, certain types of stevia do that? Are there any like little hints or fruit? And also, what flavors do you have coming out? That's one thing you probably can tell us about.
Yeah, we can divulge that now. First off, the pea protein, there is a crap ton of raw material suppliers now with pea. In the past, like it's just a couple of years back, there was not nearly that many. A lot of people have gotten, just like there's contract manufacturers out there, a ton of them. There's so many more now on the vegan side, on that sector. There's so many more ingredient suppliers are coming out, and they have their spin on it, how they filtrate things. And I've tried, literally, I've been at trade shows where you can mix some in. It mixes clear. Some, you notice when you go to the side of the bottle, then it's got that kind of, it's the best way, like almost like a sawdust type effect, where on the side of the bottle where it cakes in there to the side. So you see a lot of different ones, and then it's also, one might look good in solution by itself, or it might have like tasteless. And then when you mix it with some flavors or sweeteners, it completely changes. We noticed that too. Like there was one, I can't remember which, nor would I want to throw them under the bus, but it was a tasteless pea protein, mixed great. And as soon as you started adding stuff to it, it had like a metallic taste to it. And I don't know, and it's a reputable source. So I know, again, I was like, you would think you have a home run there, and then you try something that's got a slight gritty texture to it. And when you add, it's just process of elimination, just trial and error, I guess. You try some that you think might be going to be a home run, and you try one that's going to be middle of the road, and that ends up being your go-to. So,
gotcha.
Other questions, flavors. Kind of do a quick run by this is cinnamon cookies. You got that there? We've got a German chocolate cake and a vanilla caramel.
Sounds good. And
one of the things. Go ahead.
Yeah. So with the were your current customers kind of asking for this, or was it more like, are you going to be talking? Who are you going to be talking to about this product? Are you going to be pushing it or talking to your current customers about it, or are you going to have campaigns where you are going after like the new, a completely new market here? I think
it's a little bit of both. Everybody. So worldwide, I mean, we're an international brand, so in the beginning, it was, we were kind of like, how is this going to go over on some of the more hardcore markets for us, like Latin America? You know, we're strong in. We've gotten good feedback. We're getting app requests for it over there. Just so I saw some teasers for it. It's definitely for anybody that's health conscious, that's looking to do something, or natural route. So, like you were saying, definitely establishing a new customer base too, and kind of reaching outside of just the whole hardcore sports nutrition side, which we've been trying to do for a while. I mean, you don't see our underground campaigns anymore, the Hemo Rage type stuff. I think that's, played out 10 years ago. So we've been doing our best to try to, reinvent the wheel a little bit and kind of reemerge a little bit as a legacy brand. And this is one of the steps we're doing to do so.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, from the label looks super clean from what I've seen there. So good job to your team on that for sure. So how much time have you been spending on this versus everything else? Because I'm pretty sure you're not done formulating other things as well.
No, we always have little things that pop up daily on do this flavor or change this. Or we have, like you said, it's international brand, so it might be, 10 different versions of one product. We have to do a tweak here because this ingredient's not allowed here. And, you know, a lot of them are easy. It's just a quick pull. But this one, you know, we pretty much had this finished, I would say a few months back. And it was just, you know, some fine tuning. There was a new source, like I was telling you about, of one of the proteins I want to try. And I thought that was actually going to be one that I was going to use because it was by itself. When I saw it at a trade show, I was like, this is going to be it. This is going to make it better. Went back in. It was supposed to save us a little money. And I was like, you know what? No, I'd rather keep it the way it's at and put our costs back up a little bit and lower our margin. But just have, for us, it was, you got to enter with something into a category if you're not first there. So we're holding true to the taste and texture. We want unique flavors, kind of dessert style flavors, kind of like the ISOFIT, you know, not your basic flavors. And one thing I will say is it's definitely easier on the vegan side or plant proteins to have flavor combinations. So like straight flavors, the earthy tones come out a little bit more.
Gotcha.
So, front end flavor in a back. You know.
Yeah, are you willing to disclose what proteins you have? Is this? I almost assume there's gonna be pea protein in there, but what are you using?
Yeah, I can tell you it's a four sources. So we've got sunflower, pea protein, brown rice, and pumpkin seed.
Interesting.
Cool. And then you kept mentioning texture before. Is there something special going on with like a creamer system or anything like that happening?
I'll say this: if you're familiar with like the ISOFIT, very similar to what I put together for that. So there's two things that, and you guys will see it soon enough, but we do have a little bit of gums in there, but the one thing I've noticed on a lot of plant proteins, it's just a crap ton of gums. So Ben, you've said you've messed with them for a while. You'll notice that like to do 2 scoops, when typically you're 20 grams of protein per scoop, it'll take you like 20 ounces of water just to mix that up. Or worse yet, if you put it into a blender and with ice, you're going to fill up like the entire blender. Like it's just, and you're like drinking, you know, 40 or 50 ounces to get 40 grams of protein. You're like, what the hell am I doing? So I want to do what?
Can you disclose how much protein is in each scoop?
It's 20 grams.
Oh,
it's 20 grams is roughly a 30 grams scoop across. Each flavor would be slightly different, but you're looking right around 30, 4 grams of carbs, 2 grams of fats. So not a high carb, not a high fat. Fats are coming from clean sources as discussed, so I can go ahead and say that. We've got C8 Advantage MCT oil powder, and then the agave inulin fiber to help out a lot with the texture, grittiness, kind of aid in that and give it so you're not just overabundance of gums and able to get by with a lot less water. So,
did you consider, because I remember this being an issue, did you consider like the seasonality of the plants and such when you were formulating?
That was one of the issues. So on these 4 sources, some of these sources have been historically, and since they've been kind of inception in the industry and given other options besides the basic tea and brown rice, there's been some sourcing issues. So we made sure that we had multiple sources lined up and multiple suppliers in case any of those came in.
Yeah. So, I remember that being an issue. I don't remember which one. When I was at Nutrex during the entire naturals launch, and one of them we had one issue with, and it was like, there was like a month where we were just like, oh no, like we might have to redo this whole thing. So,
yeah, and it's first. I mean, I'll be honest. Like we're coming out and we're thinking, okay, how is this going to take for some of our international territories? And I mean, we've had some pleasant, like I said, pleasant requests coming forward, and people really want to, territories that support the brand, and countries that support the brand getting excited about it, which is nice to see. Because we didn't know. I mean, they're not as cheap, obviously, as a whey protein, or even though whey's going up right now across all platforms, but they're definitely not the cheapest proteins. But if you can do it the right way, I think it's, like I said, a nice entry point into the category.
Cool. So I've heard, and this is another one of those things where it's like there's no studies on this, but I've heard different people assert before that, like, if you're taking a plant protein, if you normally would consume 25 grams of protein and you're getting from a plant source, they'll give you it's usually just a arbitrary number, like you need to take 1.5 scoops to match kind of for sports purpose. Are you confident in the 20 grams?
Yeah, so I think the product we're referring to is the EAA profile, and especially like leucine. Some of the different sources, and especially the ones we lead with, you're going to have a higher BCAA content, like pea, for example, is one of the lead dogs in this formula. So I think one of the bigger issues is if you were just like, for example, brown rice, you're going to be missing some of the more important EAAs, and it's just getting that nice ratio where everything balances out.
I never understood that with companies. It's like, well, why didn't you just formulate it with a better amino acid profile?
I mean, I've heard of something, and this is again something going back to the whole amino spiking. It actually makes me, again, now you'd have to add like we had talks at one time. I was considering like, okay, well, if we want to keep that source or that particular protein and it's the easiest one to work with, maybe you add a fermented vegan leucine to it, or a fermented vegan isoleucine or valine, you know. I don't know if any companies are doing that, to be honest. I haven't, some of the ones I have, I'm sure they are, but that's something that could kind of negate any of those issues you're talking about, I would say.
Why didn't you end up wanting to do that? Or did you see, even though someone who's covered amino acid spiking, in my opinion, adding leucine is never truly a bad type of amino acid spiking, because I love it. So like, what's your kind of take on if you saw a product doing that?
I will say that when I was messing around with the idea, it did adjust flavor somewhat, obviously.
Right.
So that was the biggest issue, because again, we were like, flavor is paramount. Flavor so obviously those fermented BCAAs do drive up costs a little bit too. So we're already flirting with that 4 blend, getting up into the higher cost price point. So it was just kind of it was a give and take. We were like, okay, we did the blend to kind of even out that EAA profile and get it to where we wanted to resemble more of an animal protein, and as far as that goes. But we also were like, okay, we could make this pretty robust if we wanted to and add to the protein count, but it's at what cost? You know, we're going to knock ourselves out of a lot of markets doing so.
Right. And I have seen the prices that you're going to have it set at, and it's actually very fair and very reasonable. I actually expected it to be a little bit more. So we'll be price plowing on the prices and everything. But yeah, it definitely looks like a very attractive price to the market, because we've seen some of these plant proteins, especially the earlier ones of the market, kind of take advantage of this growing vegan demographic. You're definitely not doing that. So that's what's cool. So anything else, Max? This has been fun. I'm not sure how we're going to do this, because we might need to splice this video up if people are interested in the Nutrex stuff. It's kind of all over the place. So that's what we were talking about. So you might have a digestive product coming out. Anything else that we should know about, or we'll just have to do this again?
Pipeline. We'll be talking a lot more. I think that's the goal, is to get on here a lot more.
Sweet.
But literally, we've got, how do I say it? We're hoping an introduction to a category potentially, maybe or a new coin term possibly to a category. We'll see what we do with it. We're still trying to convince someone in the company to let us run a certain way with it. So it's a cool product, good flavoring, on some very hard to flavor ingredients, and kind of cool spin on something, a little unique take on it. So
I like to hear that, because a lot of people throw innovation around, but they don't, like, no one really knows what real innovation is. It's hard, like real innovation, I would say, is getting harder and harder, because there's so many damn companies, and you got one company that's multi-level, and they've got to, have this much margin kicked in for this many markets and this many levels of distribution and whatnot. And then you've got this company that's direct consumer only, so they can just put everything in there, and they're going to, what's the clinical? It's 4 grams. Let's put 10. And let's triple everything, clinical doses, and who cares if it gives you stomach distress? And there's like opposite ends of the spectrum. So I think flavors, a lot of things of that nature are, there's a lot of things you can be different with, and it's also your take, and honestly, it's how you market things. So. And your access to ingredients as well. And like, just because you've met someone at supply side doesn't mean that you're the first person they spoke to, because before they even get to supply side, they're calling up their buddies anyway.
Exactly.
And so I'm excited to see what you guys do. I mean, there are so many categories and so many products out there. It's almost like it's hard to think of what the next one could be.
All right. Well, yeah, I think that's good for now. We're definitely going to have to do this more often, because this is fun. Ben and I got to get over to Florida and do a whole series of this, do some tastings, mess with the stuff, kick over your buckets and all that. But until then, everyone can check out pricefile.com/Nutrex. Sign up for the alerts, because right when the natural products are available, we're gonna be blasting everyone. Ben does have a review coming, and we'll be posting that. Make sure we don't let too many cats out of the bag. But yeah, we haven't yet seen the full label, so once that's ready, we will have it on the blog, and we'll have the alerts going. And there it is. Yeah, man, that's a good looking bottle. Your brand works really well with that green. I like that a lot.
Thank you.
So yeah, pricefile.com/Nutrex, and you guys are just Nutrex.com if you're gonna go straight to the source, right?
Yes.
All right.
Max, when can we expect to hear from you again for probably the next product? In how many weeks?
We've got POs and we've got a lot of products coming. I mean, we were actually talking about, we're trying to keep the marketing up and the launch strategy with all these new products coming. So we've got a lot we're dropping in this next few weeks. Awesome. Next couple months, so stay tuned.
Okay, cool. And Max, for people interested in you personally, do you have a private IG or are you public on Instagram?
Yeah, it's just my full name, Max Fairchild, no spaces. I was getting good at content there for a while, and then I need to get, so some of it was like diet based, some of it was opinion based on me. I'm opinions on movies or whatever. I'm a big dog person,
right.
So a lot of it's dog stuff, my wife, whatnot. So it's a little bit of everything. I'm not one of the, I think I've maybe taken 2 selfies in my life. I'm not a big selfie person, but it's always like workout videos and crap like that. So.
All right. Well, we're going to get to Florida and do some selfies with you.
Yeah. And you get one little, I saw those little things in the back of the phone. I'm like, what is it for? Like, why is it like a knob on your phone? They're like, it's to balance your hand for the selfie. I'm like, oh, okay. I'm an idiot.
All right. Well, subscribe to the channel. Yeah, check out those alerts on priceout.com/Nutrex because it sounds like there's a lot coming, and we're going to keep up with it. Thanks for joining us, Max.
Thank you, guys. Talk to you soon.
Welcome to Price Plow.